I recognize a member for Oakville North Burlington.
Thank you, Speaker, and good afternoon. I rise today to speak on third reading of Bill 157, the Enhancing Access to Justice Act 2023, and share some of the reasons why I am supporting it. And I'm pleased to be sharing my time with the hardworking member from Carleton. As has been said by the Attorney General and others, this bill, if passed, will improve access to justice for more victims of crime, improve community safety, and modernize and simplify court and its operations. And as someone who is a strong advocate for victims of crime, I am pleased to support this bill as it represents a positive step forward to assist people to better access justice. First, let me say a few words about public safety and access to justice for victims of crime. Keeping our communities safe and increasing access to justice for victims of crime is a key priority for me and for this government. Ontario's justice system needs to be accessible and responsible to all Ontarians, especially those who need it most. And that's why we are proposing changes to the Victims' Bill of Rights that would make it easier and less traumatizing for certain victims to sue convicted offenders for emotional distress and related bodily harm. Currently, 3 types of crimes are identified in the Victims' Bill of Rights where a victim can sue the convicted offender for emotional distress. These crimes include assault by a spouse, sexual assault, and attempted sexual assault. Our government is proposing to expand this list to include victims of human trafficking, victims of sexual offences against a minor or a person with a disability, and the publication or distribution of a voyeuristic recording or an intimate image without that person's consent. Speaker, as my colleagues here today will know, in November 2022, I introduced a private member's motion titled Kira's Law in the Ontario Legislature. And this motion was named after a 4-year-old Kira who tragically lost her life as a result of an apparent murder-suicide. It was unanimously passed in this House and called for the education and training in intimate partner violence and coercive control of provincial court judges and other professionals in the family court system. Since then, our government has taken further action. We've passed the Strengthening Safety and Modernizing Justice Act, which now mandates all newly appointed and existing provincial court judges and justices of the peace must undertake education and training in gender-based intimate partner violence and coercive control. These amendments were largely thanks to the tireless advocacy of Jennifer Kagan, Kira's mother, and the hundreds of women who shared their stories and provided their support for Kira's Law. But we haven't stopped there. Speaker, our government has a zero tolerance for violence against women and children in all its forms. We've invested nearly $247 million to support victims of violence and almost $29 million in violence prevention initiatives. We've invested $5.9 million over 2 years through the Victim Support Grant Program to enhance capacity to support survivors of intimate partner violence and human trafficking. And late last year, the Attorney General announced a one-time $2.13 million investment to the Partner Assault Response Program to supplement the annual $10.6 million allocation. Speaker, people in my community of Oakville North Burlington are already seeing this funding in action. From 2022 to 2023, Halton Women's Place received about $2.5 million in funding to deliver emergency shelter services under the Violence Against Women program, the Transitional and Housing Support Program, and the Family Court Support Program. Additionally, at the end of 2023, SAVIS, the Sexual Assault and Violence Intervention Services of Halton, received $98,600 to implement an overnight crisis line to offer immediate support for volunteers and service users. And $100,000 was given directly to the Halton Regional Police Services Human Trafficking Unit. Speaker, there is a well-documented evidence that victims of these crimes can experience long-term effects like post-traumatic stress disorder, anxiety, and other mental health challenges. We continue to listen to victims like those in Kira's family, and through Bill 157, we are making the key changes that will increase their access to justice. These proposed amendments will make it easier for victims to sue their offenders for emotional distress in civil court. Speaker, our government recognizes the serious nature of these crimes, and we are taking action. Now let me focus for a moment on the steps we are taking and through this bill proposing to ensure that Ontario's justice system and laws meet the demands of the 21st century. Together with the judiciary and all partners across the justice system, we continue to harness new and existing technologies to improve and expand access to many different services. Our goal has always been clear: to facilitate a modern and accessible justice system that works for everyone. Ontarians deserve nothing less. About a year ago, we officially opened the new Ontario Court of Justice building in Toronto. This new courthouse brings most of our criminal court services from 6 different Ontario Court of Justice locations into one accessible, state-of-the-art courthouse. It accommodates virtual and hybrid hearings, has conference settlement rooms, and enhanced security features. It can accommodate the unique needs of drug treatment, GLADU services, youth and mental health court users, and provides supports for victims. Our government is also in the midst of rolling out expanded digital justice solutions to deliver more justice services online. Digital transformation in the justice sector is long overdue, and we are succeeding in our efforts to make 21st century technology a permanent fixture in the administration of justice in Ontario. The Court's Digital Transformation Initiative is an important and significant milestone in this new era for justice in Ontario, and will be the most significant single step forward in the digital evolution of justice in Canada. In 2021, our government launched the Justice Accelerated Strategy to break down long-standing barriers in the system and move more services online and closer to Ontarians, regardless of where they lived. This includes rural, northern, and First Nations communities. Since then, we have expanded electronic filing to more than 700 types of civil, family, bankruptcy, divisional court, and small claim court documents through Justice Services Online, committed $65 million to virtual and hybrid hearings, expanded our online court case search tool to ensure the public can search basic court information in select civil and active criminal cases without having to line up at or call a courthouse, and substantially increased funding for Community Legal Education Ontario. As the Attorney General says, this is the way of the future, and it's what the people of this province deserve. And as a lawyer myself, I welcome this change. Yet despite all of our advances, some of Ontario's court processes remain outdated, leading to inefficiencies and challenges for court users. That's why we are putting forward proposals in this bill to change the Courts of Justice Act and other statutes, creating flexibility and filling current gaps in procedures. We are also proposing changes to make the procedures for judges in the Court of Appeal and Superior Court of Justice to deal with vexatious litigants more flexible to help reduce the use of court resources and delays. Speaker, these vexatious litigants rob our courts of time and resources, which are better used for legitimate attempts to resolve disputes. As the Minister said when this bill was introduced, if passed, the Enhancing Access to Justice Act will ensure that Ontario's justice system remains fair, remains responsive, and remains accessible for those who need it the most, while continuing to keep people safe. I encourage all of my colleagues in the House to support this bill. Thank you, Speaker.